And then I realized on my way home that if it happens in my house, maybe it happens in other people's houses. You know, we're not that unique as much as we'd like to think. You know, but but I've always been a fan of Cosby. I've always been a fan of something in comedy that there's a truth to it, and then you find some.
So you start that way. You start with
start
here's
with
the
truth.
common
I try to
thing,
go. Yeah, I mean, it's like if I'm in a, I don't sit down and write much stand up anymore. I just kind of
try it out.
If something happens, you know, I'll bring it. I'll take a shot in the middle of a show and see. You know.
That's incredible because it seems so woven. It seems everything seems very intentional. And
well, I do. I spend more time on segues than I do really on the stories. The stories come. It takes time, you know, and then I'll write a one-liner. You know, I'm worried about my memory. You know, my memory's. You know, I don't know if it's all the alcohol and drugs or it's just my age. I don't know, but I'm worried about it. And I saw this thing for Prevagen, so I was gonna, it's a pill you take or some natural thing, and then you saw the key ingredients. A jellyfish, oil of a jellyfish, and you're thinking. First thing I said to my wife was, "Do jellyfish have good memories?" I mean, you know, I've only seen them on shores gasping for life because they forgot to go back out with the tide. You know, you think there was one thing a jellyfish. The one job to remember would be water. I need water to exist. So anyway, that's kind of where, you know. So it sits by itself. You know, I don't have a story. So then I realized at one point I had a conversation with my neighbor. She's 78, and she said she had to take a cognitive test for to get her license. And I said, "Why? You know, you're sharp." She said, "Well, I had trouble with the memory." I go, "What's the memory thing?" 5 things. 20 minutes later, you got to recall. So I start telling the story. Then I realized my 78-year-old father-in-law moved in with us. So all of a sudden, I got a nice story from 3 or 4 completely disconnected things.
Amazing. Yeah.
But how do you weave them together? That becomes to where you're not going. Speaking of my father-in-law,
right.
So then I made up some stuff about him living with us and then walking. He face planted, that was bad. And you go to the emergency room with him, and then I tell my audience, if you're going to take an old guy to an emergency room, you and your wife get your story straight before you get to the emergency room, because there was some discrepancies in our versions of what life was like. So anyway, it all ties in, and then the Prevagen thing with the jellyfish, and I don't know how absurd to take it. You know, it's like, I do believe this. These pharmaceutical companies make up things to sell things. You know, so
what?
Yeah, I know.
I had never heard that.